Good afternoon and welcome back to Music Scrap, the musical scrapper. So here I am. I'm going to finish up my watercolor that I started on Thursday. Hopefully I'm not as discombobulated, as Lynn said, as I was on Thursday, although my voice is way worse. I have a doctor's appointment on Friday and I have a list of things. So she better not get upset that I have a list of things that I need to speak to her about. I need to do an orange. So I'm just going to get a plate here because I'm going to need the greens. I might still need the greens. No, I won't need the green, so I guess I could use that one. I'm finished up my green bottle, so I'm not going to need the greens again. Yeah, so I can clean out the green. And use the green spot for my orange. So what I have left to do is I have to do the orange daisy here. No idea if it has an official name, but to me it is an orange daisy. I don't know plants. So as Dee Dee says, don't email me if it has a real name other than orange daisy. It's orange and it's some kind of daisy. So that is what I'm going to call it. So there. Alright, so I need my bright orange and I'm going to need my red. And I do already have some dark red orange here that I used on my jar, so I will use that in there as well. And I need some brownie purple for in there, so I will make that using a little bit of the red. So a little bit of this red orange. I'll use a little bit of what's it called? Ultramarine Deep to make the inside there, the brownie purple. Mixed in with some burnt umber will make that. So a little bit of the red, a little bit of ultramarine mixed in with some burnt umber will make my inside. So first of all, though, I'm going to do my petals. Okay. Actually, I think I need one smaller. Number 3. Number 3 round. Actually, they're calling it a rigger because it has longer. Oh, and that's not the one I want. I grabbed the wrong one. Oh, there it is. 5. All right, so I have my number 5 and my number 3 here. I'll start with the number 5. Mix my orange. It's a very bright orange, but that's okay. This is just the first layer. It's called Brilliant Orange. It's not quite fluorescent, but it's pretty close. Hi, Rebecca. But looks like a sunflower? Oh, you're right. It is a sunflower. The center's too big to be a daisy, isn't it? An orange sunflower? All right. Sunflower it is. I apologize to anyone who knows more than me. I guess I'm switching my jars tonight because I accidentally put my brush in the wrong one, so my clean jars switched over because I got some orange in that one. So I'm going to do wet on wet for my first layer. I've got some spots on it, so I've got to see if I can clean this up a bit. It's got a drip of something on it. Don't know what it is. It's in the shadow, so I might be able to paint it out. We'll see. Because it's not coming off, whatever it is. All right. All right. So now that I see this orange, I think I need to add a smidge of my Cad Yellow Medium mixed in with it to tone it down a little bit. To warm it, yeah, to just kind of oh yeah, that's better already. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the main well also. So this is a warm yellow I'm putting into the orange just to get rid of a little bit of that fluorescent look of it. That's a little better. Okay. Orla! Wow, nice to see you. Has it warmed up any out there yet, Orla? Because we've got the heat and you guys have the cold out there. Darren, Orla Angel 5 is another Canadian. She's out in Alberta. Orla, Darren is a Nova Scotian. So I'm putting this color down first over the whole thing because it is going to be my lightest color, the highlights of my flower and petals. Okay. So you put it down first. And then when you add your darker color, you leave these highlights open. So this is just a base, not even really shaping the petals much yet. Alright, so now I have to look at the shadow. Just leaving a white area where the shadow joins just so that I can keep track of the shape. I should say the reflection. It's not really a shadow. The table is a very shiny table, so it has a really good reflection there. Okay. So that's a good start. Now it's a little darker in real life than it's showing on my screen. Thanks. Thank you very much, Joan. See if I can get these to blend it in the reflection. Of course, it's going to be a little bit less. There we go. A little more blended edges here. So you want some nice soft edges. All right. And I've been to Darren, I've been to Cancel several times. As a young girl, our pipe band used to go and play in the parade in Cancel and a concert every summer. Okay, I need to dry it. Heat gun. These are Shinhan, SHINHAN, PWC, Professional Watercolors. PWC are the three letters. Shinhan is a newer company from South Korea. And so Desserts here in Canada had them on sale when I was looking to upgrade from my Cotman watercolors. And I was looking at the Grams, M. Graham watercolors, but these were very similar pigment and that kind of stuff, and they were like $4 to $5 cheaper a tube than the M grains because they're cheaper in the first. They're less expensive, I should say. Shouldn't say cheaper. They're less expensive in the first place than M grains. Plus, they were on sale. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try them, and I absolutely love them. Ugh. And I could never go back to my Cotmans now. Maybe if I was painting in a color book, but I don't even know if I'd use my Cotmans again on. I don't even know if I would use my Cotmans on cards anymore because I just love these paints. I love the way they go down. It's kind of like once you go, you can't go back kind of thing going on. Yeah. So, all right. So this is some of that orange mixed with permanent red. So this is going to be my next glazing layer to do some of the shaping and the shading. Actually, I think I need to use my smaller brush. I'm not quite good enough with my brush techniques yet to, so I'm going to use my number 3 round. Some painters say use as large as you can, and others say, then I see other watercolor artists who do use, mostly small, and I really like, I like more realism than the loose style watercolors, so, yeah. And I don't have the brush technique yet to do the Hey Jane, nice to see you. I haven't seen you around in a while. They are, dear, and really nice rich colors. Yeah. I might see if my sister wants my Cotman. I'm still trying to get my older sister to do some art again because she's my sister has Dee Dee's talent for portraits and stuff, but like me, I'm getting over it though by doing it. But like me, but even more so, she is my sister is an absolute perfectionist. Everything, when she does her art, it has to be perfect. And even worse than me. And I'm getting over that. I'm still very hard on myself. But we both get it from our mom. Mom's the same way. When Mom was doing her sewing and all that stuff, she had no problem ripping out a seam or a dart, especially darts and stuff. She had no problem ripping them out several times. You know what? This is going to work better if I wet. So I'm going to do every second petal and wet them as I go here. Because this will go quicker and easier if I do wet on wet. It'll flow better, my dark colors. Because this is just my second glaze. This is not my shadows yet. This is just for some shaping. See, so much quicker. So I'm using 2 brushes so I don't have to keep cleaning off my smaller one that's adding the pigment. So I'm using 1, 2, add the water, and 1 to add pigment. Darren. Yeah. Mom taught home ec. She even taught night classes, and she was just a wonderful teacher. She still has people stop her in the store whom she taught at night school, adults at night school, and they stop and still recognize her in the stores. Oh my gosh, you taught me how to sew, and oh yeah. And that's like 60 years ago. Yay, Jessica. Awesome. But you know what? And I did okay when I had the Cotmans. But I jumped ahead by leaps and bounds when I got my Shinhan. And I know a lot of watercolor artists will say it's more about the paper. And yes, the paper does make a difference. But you know what? These paints made way more difference to me than the paper. Now, granted, I'm also doing it more, but it truly made such a huge difference when I got these paints. It's like all of a sudden the pigment did what I wanted it to do, and yeah. So this is called glazing. So this is my second glazed layer. A little bit of shaping. But mostly just adding that second color. Just to deepen a little bit the petals. Alright, so now I'm going to go in and make sure those petals are dry. Heat gun before I do the next ones. Yes, Cece's Creations. She's from Montreal, and she does amazing work too. If you're into acrylics and you like acrylic painting, Giselle Grenier, theartplace.ca is another wonderful Canadian artist. She's from Hamilton, Jillian. I don't know if you know her or have run into her. She does some landscape, but mostly wildlife and pet portraits are her specialty. That's what she does, commissions. And she does some landscapes, but she works in acrylics. But artplace.ca is her channel, and she has an upcoming color mixing class, and it's free. And basically all the color mixing that she's going to be teaching, whether you do acrylic or whether you do watercolor, is going to be the same. Except with watercolor, you don't have to add white to see the underlying color, because they're transparent. The white of your paper acts as the white acrylic paint does. So in her class, she mixes the color, and then to see the underlying color, you add white in order to see the true color of what you're mixing. But with watercolor, you don't have to add the white because the paper acts as your white. So the color mixing ideas that she's going to be teaching are going to be the same if you do watercolor with that exception, because you use the same pigments. Thanks, Carol. Yeah, exactly, Darren. And she uses the Americana Traditions paint by Deco Art. So, yeah, she's really good, and she's good at explaining everything. She's good at teaching stuff as well. She knows her stuff. Okay, that's not completely dry, but it is dry enough. Because, like I said, this is not detail layers yet. My next layer, the darkest, is going to be where I'm adding the detail. So it's going to be more important that everything around it is dry when I do that layer, so that it doesn't mix it from one petal into the next. Oh, thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Joan. I'm working on it. Like I said, it's been a childhood dream of mine to, I think from the first time I saw my first watercolor paintings, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And then when Mom told us our dance teacher, we did tap and ballet for 8 years, and she was moving away down to the valley because her husband was a bank manager, the Royal Bank, and he got transferred. And so there were no other dance teachers in Pictou County at the time. And so Mom and Dad were like, what are we going to find to take up the girls, Saturday afternoons now that we don't have dance? And so they told us we were going to take some art lessons. Would we like to do art lessons? And we were like, yeah. And then to find out, I wasn't totally excited that it was pastel and chalk, because they're messy. So we did charcoal and oil pastel and still life. So, you still learn a lot of drawing techniques and stuff like that. We did it for 1 year. But I really wish it had been watercolor they'd put us in. Anyway. Cool, Bonnie. Ink sketching, but see, I'm not good at the drawing part. I'm still at the point where I'm tracing my photos, which I don't care. It's not illegal. It's not against the law. I'm just not comfortable enough yet with my drawing skills. I have to practice some sketch work, and I do have a sketchbook. I'll put it on my list if and when I move. Well, I'm going to say when I move, because I don't see how they could say no to me. There are a lot of people in assisted living who are more mobile than me. So, oh, cool, Bonnie. All right, so my next one is going to be this darker red, the darkest red that I used in my glass here. But because it's going over the orange, it will be slightly different than in the glass, but your eye will recognize it will give better flow because I'm using the same few colors. All right, so it's just a good choice. But I'm doing wet on dry, excuse me. So I have to reconstitute this. Wet on dry because this is the detail part. Oh, maybe I should do the center. Oh, I have to do my center first. Hold on. I have to do the center before I do that. So I'm going to start the center with the darker color here, the color I just used. So I'm going to do that first as the underlying color. Oh, I need my larger one. Actually, I can probably use this one for the first layer. So I'm using the second glazing layer color, but because it has no orange under it, you get more of the red tone. Now, I have some of my brown here that I used in the background. Well, it's gray really, but it's and I'm going to add some to this red color. And I want it to be a little thicker. So I'm going to add more ultramarine, just ultramarine right into it. Try and thicken it up a little bit. In one moment, I need to pick up some of the pigment here. You have to watch it as it dries because it's pooling here. Because my photo is on an angle. I don't want it to dry completely because I'm going to do this wet into wet. But I do... There we go. That should work. So I'm going to use, it's kind of a purpley brown that I've got there now. So now I'm going to go in with my number 5 brush. And it's still wet. So in order to put in texture, I'm first going to go around the outside here. It might be a little too, I might have to add a little burnt umber here. I do. Okay, hold on. Need to add a little burnt umber in. It's a little too purple. That's better. I want purple, but I don't want it to look purple, if you know what I mean. All right, and then for the texture, I'm taking my smaller brush and I'm just going to dab it in. So this is nice because it gives some texture. And I'll go in once it's dry and add a few more dots that won't spread because it will be dry. Okay, but you can see, I'll hold it up so you can see the texture better perhaps. Okay. You can see that there's some nice texture in that center. So we'll see how it dries. I'm going to leave it for a minute. I want it to dry a little bit on its own before I add the heat gun, just so that I'm going to take off some wet that's collecting here because I don't want blooming texture. I want texture, but I don't want blooms. So I'm just picking up, drying my brush, picking up that extra that's pooling around the edge there. Okay, I'm going to let it dry a little on its own. Uh-oh. Ah. Thanks, May. Hey, Kimberly. I missed you coming in, I think. Alright. Heat done. And when it dries, you can see the true color. I can see that I'm going to have to add a little bit more brown to the mixture for the top layer, which is fine. That's easy peasy to do. Okay. All right. So, oh, sorry, not quite dry. You don't want to add, if I go in before it's completely dry here, it will move the pigment away and you'll get some very funny watermarks. It was just a little spot that was still wet there. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to add a little bit more burnt umber into the mix. I want to use my little brush. I'm going to try and keep the mix thick. Okay. So I'm going to go around the bottom edge here with this as well, because it is a little darker here at the bottom. That will help lift up that center area. And then to add a little bit more dark, a few more dark spots, but all that other texture still showing through. I could have used my fan brush. That probably would have been some very nice texture. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to dry that before I go into the petals. So now I'm adding my final layer to the petals, which is the shadows, the darkest parts of the petals. That will really kind of shape each petal into break them apart from the ones beside it. So I need my picture and I need my paint. I think I'm gonna put my paint over here. There we go. And I need my small brush. And I'm doing wet on dry. Okay. Alright, it needs a little more red added in. There we go. So this layer is going to be a little thicker so that you can shape your details. You're not just glazing and adding a layer of color. You're wanting to shape your brush strokes. I should be turning this around so that I'm coming from the center and out. That would really help. I need to take out a little bit of that color. Okay. Oh, it's the wrong color. Wrong color, Jean. She's from the UK, Kimberly. A plaster is a Band-Aid. Band-Aid. I can translate. Thanks, Bonnie. And I do have, Carol was very kind and sent me some lovely Daniel Smith paints and some M. Grams. And I promised that my next watercolor, I will play with those. Because I'm comfortable enough with these now that I didn't want to play with them too early. I want it to be really comfortable with my Shinhans. I did do one watercolor with them when I first got them. So I think I'm comfortable enough with my Shinhans now to make a move. And so what I'm doing now is I've added some color now. I'm going in and getting some water on my brush, but not very wet, just damp, so that I can move this pigment that I've already put down Soften some of the edges, but keep some edges. Oh, you've got some Holbeins now. Ooh. I'm going to get a palette together and send Carol some of my Shinhans. It's the plan. One of these days. I am president of Club BAM, which is Club BAM is Club Bad at Mailing. I'm horrible at putting things in the mail. Terrible. Poor Lynn's still waiting for stencils from New Year's Eve. Jeez Louise. Poor Lynn. Darren, all you have to do is, if you bring up their name, if you do a search for them on TweetDeck, and then it'll take you to their homepage, just click follow, and that automatically sends a request. All you have to do is click follow, and then it should, instead of saying follow, it'll say pending, and then they'll get an email saying to follow you, so to accept it. Oh, you used them on Saturday? Right, I was at the crop, so I missed it. Did you put it on YouTube? I don't remember seeing it come up on YouTube. Carol? Or is it maybe still in my watch later? It must be on YouTube, though. Oh, okay, there you go. As long as it says pending, then they'll get the email and they'll accept your follow request. So, Darren found me. She sent me an email because she found it on my blog, and because she's from Nova Scotia, so I told her she had to get Twitter. I became Bossy Eileen, and I told her she had to get Twitter so she could follow us and find everybody who's streaming and all that kind of stuff. So if you get a request from Darren, Tickle Road Studio, that's our Darren. So she is okay. She is not a stalker. She's a blue noser like me and Linda. Linda White Holloway. Well, I don't live in Nova Scotia right now, but I am a blue noser. If you're born in Nova Scotia, you're always a blue noser. Yeah. Rebecca, TweetDeck is now owned by Twitter, actually, and it's an application you can use to run Twitter on your computer. It's way better than using the web version of Twitter because you can put your columns right there in front of you. So my columns open up as, you know, a home column for everyone I follow, tweets from everyone I follow, then my own mention column, so when people tweet just to me, it's always open, and then my message column. So I have a column for my direct messages. So it comes up as 3 columns. They're always open. You don't have to click back and forth. You don't get all this strange, you know, every time someone comments on the web version of Twitter. Every time someone comments on a post, it moves to the top with the original post and the comment, and it doesn't do that on TweetDeck. But you click on the original, and then you can see the whole conversation. So it still groups by conversation, but it doesn't show anyway. It's just a way better way of organizing your tweets. I love it. And then on my iPhone and my iPad, I use Twitterific because it does a similar thing. They don't have TweetDeck for yet. I don't like the Twitter app at all. Now this one right here went really weird, so I'm going to turn it into two. I'm going to put, make it look like there's one in behind here. So it has a really weird shape there. Oh, that one went really weird. I don't know what happened to that one. May have to add some lighter on top of that because it's gone really strange. Let's see what happens if I just add in a little bit of lighter. Okay. Thank you, Darren. Who was Dorothy looking for? No, I didn't hear from Ange today. I know some did get their, some domestics did get their ATCs today, so I don't know if she got the internationals. I did not see her post today. I hope she's okay. All right, so next I'm going to go, now that I'm getting down to these bottom ones, I'm going to go along these ones and shape for the reflection. Now I've got a bloom there, but it's going to be where I'm putting some dark anyway, so that should be all right. Just going to pick up a little bit more red. Add into some of my brown here. Spritz it a little bit. It's drying up a little bit. There we go. Oh, it's too wet there. I need a little bit of putting down a little bit too much pigment here on these. Not as happy with these later ones as I was with the first one. Tend to get a little impatient as I go here. Especially this one. I have to pick up some of this pigment here. I've got way too much. Oh, really? A cat for? Yeah, he seems to be going in circles. Jose does. One more petal. And then I'm going to do a finishing glaze with my yellow orange. Okay, so now in the bottom here, it is just a shadow. So I'm going to do the center first, which was with this browny, purpley brown mix. Oh, and I need to do it with my larger brush. And it needs a little wee bit of ultramarine blue. A little more. Of course, you're not going to get the detail in the reflection, but you want to get the color. Watch it as it dries so you can get any of that pooling lifted up. And that needs another layer because it has to be a little darker than that. So I'm going to add another layer. Hopefully I have enough. All right, so just the rest of the shading, reflection of the sunflower here, and then the table, the reflection of the sky and the trees on the table. It's a glass table, and that'll be done. Thanks. Thanks, Darren. All right. So I'm going to do this with my size 7 brush because that way it kind of makes sure you don't, because you don't want to add too much detail. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pre-wet it so that I get a really nice soft reflection here of my color. Less of this yellow shows in this reflection. So drop in the darker red and brush it up and down, because the reflection is always going to go horizontal. And now I need to go around and neaten up my center here a little bit. Oh, so you fall into that last category there, Eileen? I assume? Oh, all right, Jessica. Rest well. Thanks, Dar. All right, so I'm going to mix up. I'm going to do a final glaze, but I need to add a little more orange into this, I think. Just a touch, because it's a little too much yellow for my final glaze. I want to have a little more orange in it. And a little wee bit more red. All right. So I don't want it to be, it's just going to be a glaze, just a unifying glaze. So I'm doing wet over dry. And okay. There we go. Okay, that's nice. All right. Now, so now I just need to do the green and the gray of the table. Oh, darn. Hold on. Forgot to do the final glaze layer on the reflection. It needs to be there too. Bye, Bonnie. Bye, May. Thank you. Oh, I need to do a little something on my... I need to add some white to the reflection on my... Hold on. I need my small brush. And some white paint. Needs to be fairly thick, so I'm just okay. So for the rest of the table, I need my gray mixture, so I have to pick this up. And my gray is made with burnt umber and ultramarine. I'm picking it up here because I added too much burnt umber. So, alright, so I need my gray mix. So my ultramarine blue, you can use burnt umber or you can use burnt sienna, but I went the burnt umber. And then add lots of water so it grays it out instead of black. I'm going to do it wet on wet anyway. And then I need to make sure my green is ready. I may have to add sap green to it, because it's mostly shading green, so I want a little brightness to it. A little bit of sap green in there as well. right? All right. Can use my larger brush. Wet this side first. Sorry guys, hard to follow chat and watercolor. This part, second. Jean, do you need to that light yellow area to the left of the flower, merge it more into the shadow? You mean of the shadow or of the flower? You mean this yellow part here? I'm going to add some, I think it needs to be green. Yeah, it needs to be green. It's going to have some green added. Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, it needs to have some green. Okay, so I need to remove some of the gray here. The gray is too dark, so I need to lighten it up a little bit. Alright, and I really need to add more water to that gray because it's dark. It is too dark. Yeah, so this part here I need to add a little green to. Okay. And I need a little more green right there, yeah. Okay, good. All right, so now the table right here. All right. Oops. Here it is. I'm like looking for my heat gun and it's right here. Now I just need to do a little bit of may have to be thicker paint than this, but we'll see. I'm just trying to do a line. I just take some blue and make a little bit of a thicker dark there. There. Okie dokie. Okay. Make sure this is nice and dry before I peel off my tape. Hey, CB. Thanks. Oh, wait. Tiny little bit of white on the vase. The less... Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it. I see it. Alright, so I just need to... I think if I just wet it, I might be able to move in the paint. A little bit of green. A little more paint on my brush would help. And it would be darker in that spot anyway because it's where it's kind of meeting the table. There we go. Alright. Here we go. I think I have all the little spots. There is over here too, isn't there? It's probably where she was talking about. And now I need to really water that out. There we go. Thanks, Kimberly. All right. Welcome, welcome, CB. I'm almost finished of my watercolor. I do have one I have something printed off that I want to try. I was kind of going to possibly do pencil crayon comparison, and I might do that because I don't think I have enough time to watercolor this other. It's from a coloring book, a grayscale coloring book that I printed off on watercolor paper that I've been wanting to watercolor. And I know I went above the thing here, but I'm going to be... guess I'm going to have to... It's kind of silly. I don't know why I didn't put the tape all the way up there. I don't know if I can go down to white on that. I'll get a clean... I need a clean paper towel. See if I can get it down to white. I think I'm going to be cutting this off anyway so that it's like an 8 by 10. Because if it gets matted, it's going to be matted as an 8 by 10 anyway. So this probably is not going to matter because it's 9. So it's going to come off, but may as well try and get it down here as much as I can. It's not perfectly straight, but like I said, this part's probably not going to show anyway. I think the first time I've ever done something in portrait style. And of course, since I started and had it taped, I found my drawing board that I was looking for. Of course, that is the right size. I'm going to start using my drawing board instead of this cutting board. Alright, it's better than it was. But like I said, that's going to be in... If it gets framed. It may not get framed. It may just go... Let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. Zoom out. There. You're back, Darren. Thanks, Darren. Okay, so I'm going to stop this recording. I'm not going anywhere just yet. I have another almost hour before Ella comes on.